Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to, well, a catch-up video. I, like many people, were waiting for that moment during Gamescom. You know the one where Stylosa is merrily talking on stream, laughing like a lunatic, before suddenly the stream is interrupted. A girl in Mexican Spanish starts talking with a glitchy skull icon on screen, and suddenly a new hero is available in the game that starts playing. Oh shit, the internet goes crazy. Sombra is here. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen. From what I understand, Blizzard are playing it cautious for now with their releases. One hero, one map, seeing how it goes, seeing how the PTR takes it. But the moment Gamescom finished, the Sombra ARG that's been going on picked up the pace, so let's catch up with where we are with that. First, well, you might be asking what's an ARG. ARG stands for Alternate Reality Game. They're a nice little hype builder and basically a meta game, a game within or around a game, sometimes a series of puzzles or codes that require people to hop around the internet, or in some cases other games entirely, and find clues to progress to an eventual finish. Expect to hear things like cipher and data moshing and whatnot as we progress through quite often. Sombra's began, well, even kind of the start point is a little bit murky. We knew about Sombra from a Reaper voice line pulled out of the game. We know Blizzard are, well, very familiar with the idea of data mining, so I'm going to make the assumption that any files left in a game version that hits the public are probably there somewhat intentionally. Here is the voice line.
Where's Sombra when you need her?
That was our first clue that Sombra was a thing. After that, everyone went nuts trying to figure out what Sombra was. Sombra was hidden in all the animated shorts apparently. Sombra was this Talon Mook. What if Sombra was Athena? What if Sombra was in London? What if Sombra was the goddamn moon? What if Sombra was Alejandra? What if Alejandra was Reaper's daughter? What if this? What if that? What if, oh my god, what if everything? It was all speculation with no real substance. We only knew two real things. Sombra apparently works with Reaper, and Sombra is likely to be Talon affiliated, even though Reaper's technically a mercenary and technically independent. Things really got started when Ana was revealed. This video contained this frame, which, well, is hex, obviously, duh. Translated into ASCII, it gives a line of complete gibberish. This is where ciphers come into play. Ciphers are an algorithm, a series of steps which require a key. The key for this was 23. How exactly the number 23 got found I'm not sure, other than Sombra being the 23rd hero. Decoding this using an XOR cipher, a common cipher apparently, wrong person to ask, I'm a pharmacologist, damn it Jim, not a cryptologist. This resulted in a Spanish phrase which I'll now mangle for comedy and cringy reasons, having never spoken Spanish outside of hola and sí in my life despite two separate trips to Spain. La que tiene la información tiene el poder. Poder? Poder? Jesus, Spain. Apparently that translates to, she who has the information has the power. This phrase also ended in somb. Another phrase was also found with even more hex in the same process, led to the same phrase but with ra at the end. That sealed it. Sombra, see, very simple, was playing around in the background of some of these videos. So when Jeff came along to tell us all about Ana and the video tripped out at the end, did you catch that? I did. That wasn't some simple mistake by the editor. Believe me, I've been there and I've left a good 10 minutes of like black footage at the end of videos, for example. That was, well, more hidden information. After all, at the end of the day, information can be broken down into simple ones and zeros, binary, which you can represent by, say, black and white lines, barcodes. From what I can only assume is pure wizardry, a chap on Discord named Kraus made this into a QR code. That made even more Spanish that I'm going to let the Google Translate lady read for me now.
Estuvo eso facilito. Ahora que tengo su atención, déjenme se las pongo más difícil.
Or in English?
Was that easy? Well, now that I have your attention, allow me to make things much more difficult.
So, Sombra is lurking and actively fucking with us. Great setup so far. Naturally, things gained speed there. Any video following was poured over for details. The Summer Games intro, for example, had this rather blatant little tease in it. More gibberish hidden in Tracer's blink trail. Silly Tracer leaking codes everywhere. Moving into base 64, it revealed a salted code, basically another cipher which needed a key. As far as I'm aware, this was never actually cracked. People went nuts at this point trying to figure out the missing piece of the code. What made things trickier was, at the same time, there were these directions. Some nice chap compiled them all into a single image, lurking in the background of the skin previews. Again, this hit a dead end. The tracer code hadn't gone anywhere, and the directions, well, they'll actually pop up again in a little bit. During this furor, we had, well, the Sky Code incident, I guess people are calling it. People had found a visual artifact after the developers went on a stream to talk about Ana and Ana's introduction and said, that's way above our heads, and people went nuts looking around the skyboxes and found a little graphical glitch on Dorado. People were trying to decode it with everything they have. People were trying everything to figure that stuff out. And in short, they were completely lost. There wasn't anything happening as a result. So Blizzard decided to update the media page, usually full of their content and full of updates for you to go watch or look at nice screenshots. They updated it, however, with a Dorado image. And, well, that's kind of weird. It's not like Dorado is news. Oh wait, except it's Mexican and clearly glitched to hell, right? Going over the image and converting it, comparing it to the original, various English and Spanish characters in the code were replaced with exclamation marks. Sombra was apparently getting tired of us. Why are you looking at the sky? The answer isn't over your heads, it's behind you. Sometimes you need to analyze your previous achievements. Honestly, I think this is Blizzard dropping the salted key for now. Instead, they push people to, well, go look at their previous achievements. Rather on the nose, that one. Going into Battle.net and checking on your profile, you could see a hidden achievement. And looking at the source code of that on the site gave us another code that needed the hero names from the compass to decipher. So at least that has been used so far. That led people to a Volskaya image. You can tell it's Volskaya after decoding it, but obviously this one's a little bit more distorted than the previous one. Using the same methods, they got a skull, a very fancy ASCII skull, and this taunt. It seems you like these little games, why don't we play a real one? This is the point, by the way, where I started actively watching the hype and actively watching the ARG take place. I saw people doing things like converting this into wingdings and noticing that there were bomb icons, and making mad theories about how maybe somehow Minesweeper was involved. People go nuts with this kind of thing. It's why I prefer watching it from the sidelines. That and it'll also be completely useless in the investigation proper. This was also a dead end until August 23rd. Get ready, 23 is about to become real important. A topic on the forums, posted on the forum 23 hours ago, titled 23 in binary by Skycoder, haha Blizzard, leads us to, well, this. This is obviously code. I mean, the only code I've ever dealt in myself is genetic, but even I can see that there's code in that, there's repeating patterns. Apparently this is base 64, which gives us yet another skull. Combining the skulls, seeing what's different, gives us more hex. Then doing a lot of wizardry, which I don't entirely understand and I don't expect the average viewer to as well, just basically going through decoding processes, basically made them work properly as hex, and you get a string of letters, which when further deciphered you get more Spanish. I promised you a game, I believe you game detectives would call it a trailhead, and then it gave you this website. That first bit, that BlizzGood USA, that's basically Blizzard's hosting website for a lot of things, so people entered that into Blizzard servers and came up with this. You might recognize that nice skull, very feminine, what a tiny little nasal cavity they have. Also, you know a shitload of what was once a scope in their eye. Ana Amari posts her first encounter with Widowmaker. While the name isn't real, well, it's unlikely she'd use her real name in the first place, what I want you to really focus on is that ECG at the bottom, and the skull in the background that flashes up every so often. In the video's properties, apparently it was a message. You seem to be very interested in these heroes, maybe interested to know some details I found out about them. On to the ECG. First, Miss Kowalska's got major heart issues, really bad one. Jesus, that is not a healthy ECG. Second, well, the lines. They're not marked, they're not measuring time correctly, and there's 26 of them. Picking out where the peaks are, you get moment in crime. It's an alphabet thing. Now, if you've been following Overwatch for a long time, you'll remember what Moment in Crime was. It was Junkrat and Roadhog's reveal, involving a Crime Stoppers style video where you could send tips to an email address, getting a response thanking you for your contribution, and that you'll get updated with more information. Looking at that website, there was this. And sending an email, you got this. Well then, Sombra's messing with the show's website and the email response, and what people did was kind of cunning. Using the two skulls from earlier and the timestamp looking numbers, they found out that the first two digits referred to the skull, first skull or second skull, and then the second two digits were the row and the third two digits were the column. That picked out 25 symbols. Another key for another cipher for the gibberish below the message, where you get some horrible leet speak for Sombra, information is power, Sombra. While all this happened, the first Skycoder post was, well, counting down. The one posted 23 hours ago was actually counting down 22 hours ago, 21 hours ago, and it counted down to 0. And when it did, the Moment in Crime website changed. Now it's got a countdown on it, and it is counting up very, very slowly, showing this. In English, it means establishing connection. Sombra Protocol version 1.9 started, transmitting information to active Omnics, ending connection. With it, a message. Well done, you have my key. Hacking this television program was meaningless. Wait for what is coming. From what I understand, by the way, the hacking is meaningless comment is meant more like that was no effort, that was meaninglessly easy. Now people are, well, paranoid, especially in referral to Omnic activation. I've seen hyped people say things like, oh, it's like, what's it getting the man versus machine mode? It's getting a kind of horde mode because it's getting this Omnic assault mode that's going to come with Sombra maybe. This, combined with a bunch of my friends also getting hacked by Sombra on their Twitter account, is starting to hint that Sombra's either involved with a god program, an Omnic control AI, or similar. Either way, it's bad news. Mexico, by the way, had it really rough in the Omnic crisis, losing power across most of the nation. It's why Lumerico managed to build all those fancy ziggurat power plants everywhere and basically become vital to the nation. It's part of what you're doing on the Dorado map. Right now, we're all waiting for that counter to tick up. How and when it does, we're not sure. It just does it very slowly. For now, we're stuck waiting. I was hoping for a little more information by this point, really, by the way, with the whole ARG. A picture of Sombra, even grainy, would have been really cool. For now, we're sat twiddling our thumbs. Oh well, let me know if you guys have also been following this and what you guys think of it. It's a neat way to do a reveal, even if it is a constant massive cock tease. Toodles.